This conference will now be recorded.
There you go. Okay, guys. The focus of this presentation, as it says in the title, Program Design, Crafting a World-Class Year-Round, Feeding Sport-Specific Life Plan Wire to Wire. So for the most part,
I can't hear you.
right on, first team meeting to the championship. Who am I? Forget that Corey stuff you see on screen. I'm Nick Savage, and I'm founder of the League of Extraordinary Athletes. What we do is concierge services for student athletes in transition and warriors in transition. So the beginning, the middle, and the two ends. I have elite athletes and elite warriors that
we do the steps.
We're trying to get in college and trying to move on. Student athlete recruits, could be a pro, could be Pee Wee. We just got Brandon Pope. He's going to be out with the Rams, JT. And I had kids up in Jacksonville, in addition to guys who are playing right now in pro sports. In addition to that, speed and sports specialties. So I'm more of a football guy than I am a track guy, actually. I played ball at Wisconsin, went on, had shots in professional league as well, and went on into computer world. So I know technology. I'm one of the original developers for IBM. So I created the PC, to give you an idea.
MS-DOS, baby, MS-DOS.
That's it, that's me, baby. So also co-founding student athlete of MVP League. From the track side, we're the #1 track club in the country. We've got about 20 signed last year. They're all over the place, all Power 5 schools, North, South, East, West, USC, South Carolina, down in the SEC. Sorry, coaches, Bama, I think, the last 2 years. And then we got a lot of them in the Big Ten, Nebraska, some of the other schools. So moving forward, that pretty much encompasses what we're talking about is where am I coming from? Because I'll actually do services, activity-based therapies. For the warrior, as you see, when you see in the diagram, you have a gentleman who has prosthetics. We work with that. The gentleman you see in the picture who I'm talking to, he was head of SEAL Team 5, Tom Chabey, so Special Forces. And probably about 10,000 athletes over the last 25 years I worked with, football, track, you name it, soccer, while I was coaching football. In addition to that, part of programs in the DMV where we won 4 straight championships, where I was a quarterback coach, speeding specialties as well in the WCAC. So basically that's what we're doing. I focus in on, as well, space management and providing team any place, anywhere, anyhow. So example, I spoke with Pete Carroll, JT was there, and Nick Saban. I was sandwiched in between on how to create a world-class program using limited time, space, and money. It was sold out because everybody has that problem to try to get creative, especially now. So how I modified this mission today is to identify current level of off-season workout plans. Well, the big word, as we were talking earlier, is what is off-season? And when does in-season begin? So that static line that we're used to, you really can't embrace that. You're really gonna have to set up a tight macro plan in a different, creative way. So what I'll do is present some interactive drills, and even the tool we're using, as I spoke about in our last meeting, I'm using a tool that's free. So hopefully you guys embrace it. This is Spark right here. So all I'm doing is running my finger up and down on the screen, and it's gonna have a lot of content in it. And my objective is that you guys can take it, add to it, use what you want, replace videos, do whatever you want with it so you can use it as a framework. So essentially here, the big theme today is embrace the change. Coach Montez said something in the last one where, I'm a boomer. So, first thing they say is, okay, adapt or die, which is funny to me. You can't look at it as a negative way. This is not really generational, although you have more coaches who are low tech. It's more about how do you use technology to decrease space and time, So if you're that type of mindset, that's what you're going to try to do is change. How do you make time work for you and shape a 24-hour day and get the most out of it? And I think everybody who I've talked to on here is that type, where you're trying to compress time. Then we open up with Q&A. Feel free to ask questions while we're going through, then we'll close it. Okay, so the big thing here, off-season scenarios. All of us have different approaches, and this is what I've seen. This is a method I use that I actually stole from the technology world, capability maturity model. And how do you manage and embrace the change? Well, we all got different situations. You're overcrowded. So you're at school, that's the perennial champion. You got too many kids. What do you do with 3/4 of the kids with a weight room that can only accommodate, X amount of people? But the big thing here is what I want you to do is you got to learn to profile your organization. Okay, profile your organization. And we're going to make profile a positive word instead of a negative word. Because what you got to do is profile your organization and then profile your business, especially on a year like this year. All right, then you got a second group. That's the broken piggy bank. Wait till next year. You don't have any money. You don't know what's available. You don't have a good weight room. You've got no boosters. That's another profile you need to look at. Culturally challenged. I've been in schools like that. They're kind of bougie. They get 2 weeks off, one mandatory week where they can go see the world, go to China. You're playing teams where the president's kids go there and stuff like that. So the culture, you got to change the whole entire culture to toughen up despite the odds of maybe even the leadership. Principal may be against you and the parents, the wealthy the C types is what I call them, the CEOs. Then you've got the renovation where you get money, you got things done, but the track is closed and the weight room's closed as you guys are doing fundraising to use the weight room facility. Now, we got the 2 new categories, natural disaster, as Coach now talking, everybody in Texas and Louisiana, and now, as well with Corona, you got man-made as well, because I was around and coaching with sniper incident in the DMV, so we had to shut down. We didn't get championships that year, barely practiced. And then, like you said, 9/11 also impacted JT and I because we were in the DMV as well. So we had people and friends that perished actually in those crashes. So you had to make adjustments as you're coaching. So you take your pick. So those are those 6 or 7. You got kids that don't know how to lift, those who don't have money, and now you got the Corona. So those are 7 off-season scenarios on how do you come up with a profile on what your organization look like. So now once you got your organization, you got to look at how mature are you, So level 1 would be, I've been places there. I know you might even have some right now. There really is no process. You've got heroes and you got goats. You got one guy who's a super performance trainer, or you got the head coach who played and lift weights, and he implements the program, and it's all separate from the rest of the school. There's no system where the kids know what's going on. There's nothing written. There's nothing on the screens in the weight room. Pretty much, you got usually have not. It was kind of like that. It was at WCAC, Bishop O'Connell, super basketball program, football program, trying to keep up. Okay, kind of same thing. Stonebridge could play that way sometimes. Strong football program doesn't want to share the resource with the other program. Okay, so level 2, you've got some processes. You might have a couple of sheets you write up. You put something on a whiteboard. You got a speed training coach, you got a strength training person that everybody goes to, but kind of once again, it's not getting communicated across the organization between all the different sports. There's no real sharing with the impact players is what I call them. So if you've got that guy who does run the 10-2, he's given that choice. You better either be here for all 7-on-7s. You better not be making yourself available over the summer, or the other way around where the track coach is saying, no, we can't share this athlete. They all compete for the resource of those impact players in the school, and that's it. But the documentation, they have Excel spreadsheets possibly, or somebody wrote something down and the coach may have it on his laptop, but it still may not be known or available to the rest of the crew. Now, level 3, now you're starting to tighten it up. You got your Excel spreadsheets. Everybody on your team knows what they're doing. The teams know how to get organized in the weight room. They know how to go work out, and they know what they're doing, and they know what their role is. So coach brought that up earlier before we started the call. So everybody knows their roles. The responsibilities have given out. The coaches know what they're doing. The people who are getting trained know what their exercises are supposed to be. And level 3, now you start working together maybe with the track program, the basketball program, and all the other sports to take that resource so that if you got a cross trainer, you're getting them ready for the next season, but at the same time, you own them for that season. And that's pretty much a rule. So the primary sport has that athlete, which will come into play as we get into talking about energy systems, because that's usually what doesn't get managed, which should be borrowed from track. I'll say that again. The energy systems, which will go over quickly down the road, is you definitely need to make sure that the whole program knows what day it's a speed and strength day, what day it's a anaerobic day, what are they doing on the football field, does it match to make sure they're getting bigger, stronger, faster throughout the season. Level 4, that's usually high-end high school programs, nationally ranked, or high-end, and in some cases not that way, nationally ranked Power 5 schools who take their sports and performance very seriously. They make sure they're sharing a resource. They're making sure everybody's educated about what they're supposed to know, what they're supposed to do, when they're supposed to be there, and they even know the rules on energy systems, how to use them, and how does it make and complement what they're doing for the sport. So moving forward, now we're going wire to wire. We're going to go pretty much with the profile of that level 1, level 2, level 3, okay, which is your traditional high school program. And this, we'll call this pre-corona. So, so I purposely used some of the slides I've done before where you have traditional wire to wire. So you've got, that kid, let me make sure I got this, I didn't, apologies there. Okay, there we go. So you've got, there's the team, you pull them in, and this is, as we discussed earlier, this is what we used to. Wire to wire. January, we start off season, then we got preseason, starting in June, then we got August, in season, and then December, we're in postseason. So we plan out our macro plan from there. It might be a 24-week, might be a 16-week, might be a 24-week program, depending on how serious the program is. So you move on traditional wire to wire, and then you have that training plan baseline assumptions. Okay, so let me start there. For me, I make assumptions as far as all my programs, no matter what the sport is, no matter what the sex is, baseline assumptions. All strength programs will include these 5 fundamental Olympic lifts. So I'll have a flat, incline, decline bench, parallel box, front squats. I tend to go on front squats more typically because I mix in the front squats with the cleans for time's sake. conventional, deadlift, RDL, sumo, and trap. Because you can get all your plyo stuff in. And the bottom line to me, the key is for all of us is hips. You gotta have hips. Hip flexion is important. I don't care what sport you play. Typically, that's usually the challenge as coaches that we have is, does a kid have hips or not? Because if you've got that 210-pound Power 5 safety who has no hips, he is not a Power 5 safety for you. He is a will or he's 7 technique. And he, because you got to look until you find those hips, you're a tweener is what we usually call it. Hanging in power cleans, and I'll mix in Bulgarians and pistols. Now, you see how I put the bands? Well, if you got that team of 120, you pretty much are going to discriminate, and this is what I've seen. The weight room is only so big. This is assuming still pre-corona. So you've got pretty much what I've done with most of the teams that I've trained. The 135 pounds is usually the discriminator because you don't have that much time to be in the weight room, and you don't have time for the kids who may be a little weaker to keep changing off the weight so you can accommodate those outside of the freshmen on up who can lift 135 pounds and more, say if we're dealing with the bench. So you probably already have this in there. I'd recommend bands as a progression and a way to take your weaker kids, your what I call your X kids, and then you got two ends of the curve on the X. The X would be your accelerated impact players and your kids who are novice. Because pretty much you can do group training with the middle, the mainstream kids. But you really can't with your weakest link and your strongest link. You really have to come up with precision training. Just like you have precision medicine, you got to take the weaker kids and give them things like you see here where they're using squat and press with the bands and progress them through the pressure of the bands. But you might introduce them to how to lift with nothing, the lightweight PVC bars that you might get from Home Depot, things like that. They really just need to get the functional movement. You can take them and put them in another area, and let them take up the hallways, and you let the assistant coaches maybe address and deal with that so that their progression through a lightweight 25-pound band, which would be a black, move to a 30, and then move to a 35-pound band, and then move to a high-end band. Now they're moving into the weights with everybody else, where they're moving into the dumbbell. Okay. Now that you profiled your organization, you got to profile the kids. Okay. Like I said, we use that as a good word. So profiling the kids, you got to sit and look at your resource. You usually, as head coaches and senior coaches, you can give the eye test usually to your team. You got some idea when you walk into the room. You say, what did I actually have? Typically, the championship teams I've been a part of, they had what I call a magnificent seven. You got 7 guys. At worst case, you can put them both ways. But they're usually your studs, and they can hit all 3 games: specialties, defense, and offense. Okay, so your program is going to match based on the profile of the kids. So the land-based programs, I'm quite sure, that's what we are. You're usually on the land all the time. Increased speed, agility, quickness, etc., which we're used to. Air programs. Air programs would be the things that you would take your prehab kids that you're like, man, I got to make sure they've got that little hip injury. I don't want this to get worse. We don't want any inflammation. Or at the same time, you may have your rehab kid. You put them in an air program. So you give them what I call air assault drills. Those would be lower drills, running mans, you'll see. I'll show you some on the videos. And water. So water and air, low resistance, no resistance to do that. Your accelerated program, that would be, once again, you're preparing them for the next level. That's your X kids. And your developmental kids, like I said, those are your novice kids. You usually give them their own programs. So once again, you see it here. Now we're looking at the player. So now you've got this program, and it's off season, and you're going through off season, preseason, in season championship. So if the player would be your average player, the baseline drills you're going to give. So you might give them land drills all the way. Of course, you're going to give them their positional program. So they're wide receiver, they're linemen, they're running, they're doing everything. They can do A through D anytime. Okay, an X player, extreme player, that may be your cross trainer, or it may be just your exceptional guy. So they're going to do all the programs that you see, A through E, but you're going to monitor that as well. And then you have your specialties, as you see. They may only do water, positional work, like kickers. I've been a specialties coach where we block 31 kicks. But, we'll talk about that later. So what you want to do is make sure they have their programs, and they're always busy, and they always have their curriculum. So example of air assault drills. I'm going to hit this. So this is an example of some of the upper air assault drills that you can do. And it really doesn't matter, male, female, you can run these guys. We're all familiar with our pull-ups. And I like for them to go all the way down and go through all variations and angles. So we go wide, medium, and narrow. Now, leg kicks, we want to make sure they're plank tall flexing and learn how to run tall. In this case, the two kids you see, this is John knows this is my daughter. She attended Stanford, 2-time state champion in the hurdles, and my son was AP All-American receiver. So that's where we're doing sidewinder. So we want to do heavy IT band, a lot of core work. So hanging crossover, this is basically what you'll see at a Heisman. So we'll do Heisman, a lot of IT band work, a lot of groin work, a lot of adductor work, and once again, get them running tall, okay? So that's an example, let's see if I can get back, okay, of upper air assault drill. And you can do these drills every day, you can do them every other day, or you can take your whole injured reserve group, assign them to the athletic trainer, and let them do air assault drills unless they're having something in their core. It's great, say, for hamstring issue or something like that. Okay, so now you got your lower air assault drills. Lower air assault, you don't have a run bar, a parallel bars, you might have a equalizer. So here, you're trying to build the speed without the impact. So first, what you're going to do is go through all the acceleration, going to go through 3 phases. This is going through acceleration. You see his shin angle, right? So we have the drive phase. It's going to really have a hard shin angle, 45 degrees, making sure he's keeping the toes up. No impact on the body whatsoever. Blind flexor, since we have a high propensity for hip flexor strain and psoas issues. Most of the guys that I've had do this, they've dropped probably about a 2.5 temps off their 40 time. Core wise, another drill, lower back. Heavy lower back drill and psoas. So you circle 5 one way, then 5 the other way. 3 sets of 10. You can do these drills on your active rest days, or you can implement it and integrate it in with the other drills that you have. Now, John will recognize this. This is down in Texas country. This is Katy. So if you're doing land drills and you wanted to start getting the more functional drills, these are some of the things that we did down with Katy when I went down to train these guys on the Savage Hill. Now, of course, Savage Hill's there. You don't have to, you don't have to have a Savage Hill. You use a regular hill. 20-degree angle. We're doing some functional drills here. These are combat drills. Then let them go ahead up. All right. So we're working jam, we're working swim, and then we got chases. So these are drills you actually have them do in groups of 4. Now, why I'm saying groups of 4 is because of Corona. I'm recommending moving forward, you start deputizing a player and a coach and start separating it down into your 4 groups of cells. Okay, we'll call them squads. Have them do the spins, whatever you need. Just find a 10, tell them to get a 10 to 25-degree plane and have 10 yards in front of them. Okay. So I'm going to keep moving forward since we're 30 minutes in. Questions? Okay. So moving forward, all you guys got to become stars right now. Okay. Did I want to do this? Hell no. Okay. But make yourself, get your tools, get your equipment. So this just happened, I guess, last weekend and the week before. I did NFL post and punch drills. And what you'll see is I've got like 20 on a screen. And basically what we're doing some of the drills that you can do with dumbbells and the high and aerobic drills. So just go and get them started. That's your way to bond with the team, work them. So right now I'm looking at about 20 matrices on Google Hangout right there. So we're warming up. And then we're going right in to 12-minute drills. Actually, this is 30 minutes after warm up. And let me get to it. Yeah. So they actually had to do lateral push-ups. So lateral push-ups, what we're trying to do right now is just work speed endurance and high analytic, okay? Which is football. Big burst, stop. Big burst, stop. Right? Then they'll move to the next drill, which I don't have a clue what the next drill was. Bicycles. Once again, you guys know this whole routine. All right. So I'll skip forward. Iron cross. So you want to, in all these drills, you want to do as fast as you can. As fast as you can. You don't want to slow it down. 30 seconds. 30 seconds every time. Now, these are great to hit your functional at the same time. So you're doing your squat and press. All right. 30 seconds again. Okay. Of course, you got your Onos. You want to keep it going. And then from Onos, high steppers. And then this one's a great one. All right. Standing broad jump, back, pedal back. So these are called burpee backs. So you're working them for their sport if they're running track. You're also getting them ready for combines. All right. So let's skip there. still want to just get heart rate. Work the hip flexors, fire hydrants. And I believe we did planks before that. Yeah. So we want to get the flat planks. You probably done these already. You want to have the dorsiflex toe go above the butt. Okay. So that's you guys or your assistant coaches reaching out right now. Don't wait. Okay. And you want your water. I won't show that one, but for the most part, well, no, this is true. Basically, you do your wall drills, which I'm quite sure you guys are familiar with, but let me show you. You basically want to have it where you want to have your back nice and tall. Okay. Right. So those are still drills that you can do right on either the fence or in the water. You decide whether you want to do water or fence based on inflammation. No inflammation, then go ahead and do it on a wall, those wall drills. Other drills, of course, let's get more functional. You know these by heart. This is one of the guys, Coach Burns, this is one of your guys up the way. I just trained from Jacksonville area. Jay Irvine. Boom. So he's got to get on. All right. So, that's out the back of your hand. So we don't even have to talk about that. And then
Coach, what's
you want to cross up.
Coach Savage?
Yes, sir.
What school was he?
You know what? He went to Oregon State. Yeah, Oregon State.
Okay.
Yeah. About 6'1", 435. He's up your way.
Yeah, that's about right. About Jacksonville. Yeah, that's about right.
Right. Now he went to school in Jacksonville. I'll find out what high school he went to.
No
And then
problem.
there's the wide receiver I had, Stonebridge now. But basically, I make all of these guys, all of the wide receivers jump. Okay. And work on that, getting their vertical, discovering their hips, and just learn how to fall. Because most guys don't know how to fall. In his case, DJ is like I think he's like a 24-foot jumper. So this example of some of the drills that you can do between land, air, water, and positional, as we all know. And then if you move forward, now let's go with our traditional, because I wanted to jump to that before we like in this last 30 minutes. This is what I'm used to, and I'm quite sure a lot of you guys used to it. The set the tone, the first team meeting. You set the expectations, the message. For me personally, if it's high school, I've been a part of programs where, the coach coached in the NFL and he told the kids the goal was not to win the championship. I'm not one of those believers. You always set the goal to win, because the mindset of a kid, you're not in the league, where you're saying this is a rebuild year. You tell them win championship, that's it. Now, if they end up 0-8, then you end up 0-8. But you don't say, hey, I don't have it this year. We don't have any skills. You guys are on that good. So maintain, create the tradition. And this is a typical agenda. Coach presents, distribute goal sheets, captain selection, distribute individual goal sheets, set up 30-day appointment. This is what we've been dealing with. I would call it pre-corona. Now, there may be modifications or what you do in between. So all this is going on in that first day, first week. Include the admin if you can for NCAA compliance, and try to collect as much as you can there for your prospects and those who need to go on to school anyway. So moving forward, so that's your traditional wire to wire. You set that up for that on that first day to set the tone. So you have your off-season, in-season tradition. Now, the second team meeting in week 1, you set the expectations, individual message, win championships, let's reach potential, stay healthy, right? Agenda, the captain presents, they're back in, you distribute a in-season workout, give them the workout plan, collect individual goal sheets, and discuss key milestones, who you're going to beat and who you're going to play. Well, that's the old days as we were discussing before. Moving forward, we might get back to, we'll call that traditional normal. My role, as I try to keep goals and roles simple so I can understand my job. So the ultimate goal, I get in the head coach's head. If I'm not the head coach, I know as a head coach what I want, and that's help the kids reach their full potential, keep them healthy and safe, win championship. Those 3 things. That's really it. Okay. So as a coach, assistant coach, if I'm talking to other assistants, I'm saying, hey, your goal are those 3 things. Keep me right. From a speed sports specific trainer perspective, I try to keep it simple again. Help the kids reach full potential, stay healthy and safe, and set a target and win a championship. Well, and then you set the ultimate goal, try to create some stars, and they keep on moving forward. All those guys are Division I, and in some cases they were All-American. So, and get a championship. So as you move forward from your training standpoint, to be honest with you, gentlemen, it's an inventory, okay? I'll have my way, you'll have your way. You have an inventory of 100 things. Some people will have 25 things they do. Some people will have 300 things. But for the most part, the ingredients, strength, flexibility, speed, your functional, your quickness, your agility and power. And you just keep going through that continuum so you can keep them getting bigger, stronger, faster. So anything you need there as far as building your inventory, that's what I do. I'll take from other people's inventory. And so kids don't get tired of what they see. You give them new approaches and new ways to do things. So in this case, I had the dynamic stretching so they could socialize. So you partner up. That may be important right now. Helper series, you partner up, you're doing the drills together. Like I said, cells of 4, squads of 4, probably moving forward so that you can keep, risk down. Liability, and at the same time too, your biomechanics, conditioning, flight drills, that's what some of you saw us doing, Katie, and a rope. Rope is cheap. Instead of having ladders, you can just have a rope so you can do more sagittal work, and you have the rope raised off the ground, and the guys are just jumping over the rope and doing the same drills you do with a ladder. Do your lower core like your air assault, and then get into your functional training, and then add some resistance so they can get bigger, stronger, faster. Because I'm a big force application and energy system guy. So the bigger, stronger you get, the more force you apply, the faster you move, the harder you hit. That's really it. So like we said earlier, embrace the change. Just stop. Really, we could sit and talk about traditional when I started looking at it and make assumptions that are bad on, hey, you guys are going to be out there July 15th doing 7-on-7s. No, you just got to embrace this change right now. So change the philosophy. So this is important to me. This is even more important than the inventory, okay? Because really, inventory is not going to change. It's going to grow. But what you do and what weight training you do and how you supply force or don't supply force really is not the key right now. You got to think more like a military operation. Moving forward, it's going to be about your logistics and your operations. Okay, so one of the ways that you fix a lot of schools, I never went for the big job. The first thing I asked the head coach, give me your football operations. Okay, one, because your schedule has got to change. You're a weaker school, be like, no, no, no. You need to put these schools on the schedule if we're going to get kids to D1. So let's change the schedule. 2, no, no, no. They don't eat right. We got to figure out a way to start impacting their eating. No, we don't have boosters. So your football operations, so this is the traditional ops right now. I've been in schools, right? So you got your principal, your AD, there's a hierarchy, and then you've got down there, you've got the players and families. And then over, to your right, if it's schools that actually listen to the athletic trainer and they actually are paying attention, concussion protocols, etc., right? And the doctors. Now, the new normal, that's what we got to get to. The new normal, administrators, let's not even talk about administrators and others. Football coach, whether it's the head coach or whether you designate, you need a football ops person moving forward, whether it's you or whether you designate someone that's very organized, that knows how to distribute and get things done. And pretty much, you're going to have to change your mindset and do a paradigm shift that your assistant coaches, you guys were just talking about it, it's kind of flat. Because you're going to have to assign your best players to operate as leaders now and treat it like it's a gray period. So some schools have gray periods, some have yellow. And in some cases, not the black period that we discussed earlier, Coach, but whether it's yellow, it's not red, it's not black, where you can't do anything at all. But you got your captain's practices, and you start delegating material, numbers, drills to these guys. So assistant coaches, you've deputized them. You've got your players, you've deputized as well. And then you might even have to deputize some people from the community. But so player 1, when I'm saying player 1 through player N, this player N is groups of 4, where you start really, whatever your system is, you're pushing it out. You're gonna have to push it out, okay? And you gotta push it out now, and I'm quite sure all you guys are doing that. So, but you got to get away from the old hierarchy where everything is a gatekeeper and it goes through the gate and they're waiting for you. You're going to have to move to another paradigm. So what does that mean? We're going wire to wire. Off season, preseason, in season, postseason. Okay, you don't know. And anybody thinks it does, help me out. But for the most part, we're in off season. That's all you do know. You don't know what the end looks like. So in order for me typically to put macro plans together, and I know that's you guys too, I always start with the championship game and work backwards. It doesn't matter whether you get there or not, but you work backwards from the championship game. So how do you deal with that stress? How do you come up with solutions that don't drive you crazy as a leader? You got to make assumptions. Assumptions can be changed, but you got to start with a world that exists. Don't try to have solid answers for everything. You won't. So off season, there is no date. I mean, it's now. And then postseason doesn't exist yet. So how do you lasso around that? Well, you gotta understand this is where track does help. And I'll say that again. A lot of people don't understand. You don't need to be, and this is always a big debate in the track football world. I was a track football guy. I was a football first. You don't need to be a track person. My son hated track, but I made him train like a track guy. Darrell Green was a good buddy of mine, trained like a track guy, and he was a track guy. But so what you do in the off season, because you got to manage the energy systems. So in order to do that, you see the circle here. That circle of preparation, transition, and competition, you are in that cycle until you start getting dates. And what you have to do, that arrow is about change management. Okay. So it's how do you spiral this wheel forward as dates start coming in? You got to stay in preparation, transition, and competition. So what does that mean? Especially with this generation, you're going to have to create competition. Just like the coach from Rice gave you drills to do, drills for skills, for specialties, you're going to have to create little competitive things that make these guys think they're in a game. And also, one of their speed days, as you'll see moving forward, that's their competition day. So when I'm training the pro guys, if they got a pro draft day, that pro draft day at every Saturday, if their pro draft day was on a Saturday, they had to train and do those pro draft drills on that Saturday at the same time they would have done it. So they're ready to be performers once y'all got to start performing. So it's like dress rehearsal, not a game, just competitive, just be competitive. And then you do have to train, as we all know, championship series, get your 2-minute drills, get your trick plays, all that stuff that you're going to do, get your more active rests that you're going to do, get your rest, get your film study, whatever's in your championship series package, that's when you move to that. But for the most part, you're going to spiral in that one little circle through off season, preseason, and in season, okay? Because you're going to have to do, we asked the question earlier about general prep. So the new coach, okay, disruptive approach. I wish I could come up with a better word, but you got to be disruptive moving forward. Get the old pyramid out your head. You're going to have to do precision training approach. Just like now they're trying to find out, what's going on with Corona. Think like a doctor. Precision medicine requires precision, customized training, customized disease analysis. So, if someone has cancer today, the next person next to them doesn't have the same treatment. So you're going to have to profile your kids and say, oh, this kid is a this. And I'm going to make this assumption, and that's where I'm going to start with. So perfect practice, in my case, I do more perfect practice, a warrior approach from training special forces guys. I like the slogan they use, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So when they get in battle, they get in fog, they make sure they're calm, doing accurate things and doing it the right way. So if you got your lineman, perfect kick slide, perfect punch, duck walk and kick slide, not, massive groups, okay? Wickets, do snapshot wickets so you get all your sprinters, your runners, your wide receivers tall, when they're running. Good buddy of mine, Robert Hackett, who ran with me at Wisconsin, that's what got the Badgers the Rose Bowl in '94. All he did was slow them down so that they ran with their shoulders over their hips and they exploded over their opposite knee, going to cheat disc every meter. That's it. So slow your drills down in this stage, and you become the quality assurance orchestrator. I know in Texas, and probably you coach in Louisiana, you might be the CEO where you're watching more and you're delegating more. But everybody doesn't have that luxury. But you're going to have to even delegate more than before. So create your assumptions. So, use an agile approach. Is everybody familiar with agile? Okay. An agile approach is destroy the 3-hour meeting. Just, an agile approach is, John, are you talking? You're on mute right now. I can't hear you, John. Oh, he's on the phone. Okay, so an agile approach is you tell your staff, you tell your kids, we're gonna have a 30-minute meeting as a target. And in that meeting, I'm looking for 3 things. I wanna know what you did, what 3 things you did, what 3 things you're going to do, and what 3 things do you need help on. You go around the room. That can almost be done in 15 minutes. So that if there's any big conversation that comes out of that, that's a spin out meeting. So if you need to talk about defensive schemes and coverages and going from 0 to 6, that is not on that call. You're talking technique, drills. You're not getting into the nuances. You let the secondary coach do that in his, what you call, scrum call. Like I said, I've done TED Talks and we've had teams of 40. The meetings don't go longer than 30 minutes, all the way through the production. You have the meetings Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You talk with your staff on Tuesday and Thursday on tweaking those meetings. You will be so happy, and the kids will be so happy when they can have 15 to 30-minute meetings that are very productive, where you say, hey, Johnny, did you work on your quarterback, 3, 5, 7-step drop? Yes, I did, coach. Did you send me the videos? Yes, I did, coach. And okay, so it's in my Google Drive. Yes, it is, coach. They look good on the phone. Okay, so that's an agile approach. Identify new requirements, know your profile. So you've got all these kids that you got coming next year. You go and line them up. Who are my impact players? Who are my role players? Who are my developmental players? Who's my mass that are going to be role players, right? The group, right? Set those requirements. Now, know your numbers. Why I mean know your numbers? For your specialties, quarterbacks, whatever it is, like Coach was saying with Morehouse, he used an L step or whatever. When I was in specialties, I made it very simple, and you'll see an example. If it's 2.1, it's 2.1. So you tell your little kick group, 2.1, that's what we got to get it done. 0.8 on your snap, that's what it is. 1.3 there. If it's over that, 2 things you know now. When you're setting up your block team, when I go to games, all I do is clock, watch the warm-ups. If the snap was more than 2.1, I go to coach and say, hey, we're going to block the kicks because it takes too daggone long. Okay? So know your numbers so you can give them to the kids now and give them to the coach. Say, all right, you take these 4 kids. It's the long snapper, it's the holder, it's the kicker, it's the backup quarterback. That's the group of 4. Okay, here are you guys' numbers. Okay, I want y'all to go work on that. How did y'all do? Well, he couldn't get this done, coach. Couldn't get this done. All right, that's in the scrum call. Okay, go back and work that again. Show me the film. Assign the team. Now, once again, we all know, I know track is a lot of alphas and you like control. Trust the relationship, and then you got to trust the execution. Really got to build that trust to execution and send that message to your coaches and the kids. I got to trust you to be able to do what you say you're going to do. All right. And then manage the change. You see an issue, example, somebody gets hurt or whatever it is, you implement that into your plan, into your structure. So that's what the scrum calls, say, hey, I need help. Once they tell you they need help, that's managing the change. So example I just gave, specialties. You got gunners, you got enforcers, hey, you already know that. You know who your 4.X's are. You know who your 4.3s are, 4.4s if you're lucky, 4.5, 4.6, 4.7, Those are going to be your gunners and enforcers. There's no time to be waiting on that. You might as well just do it right now. 0.8 on the snap, those numbers I gave before, assign a team of 4, assign the drills. What I learned from Coach Beamer, I went to coach and I said, hey, I want to become a great specialty coach. He started laughing. I said, what's your secret? Because everyone knows Coach Beamer from Virginia Tech. They were blocking, Virginia Tech was blocking everything, like 40 kicks one year. So he started laughing. Basically, he said, all I do is I play my starters. Okay, so that's got to be worked with the head coach so that when that specialty play happens, the second string guy goes in on the offense or defense. That's what he told me. So that's part of the philosophy on where's the head coach, where's football operations, and where the systems. So now let's look at it from a higher level, personal planning, performance planning, for training schedule. So let's say the season starts March 1st. We were just talking about this. I'm sorry, season ends March 1st. Okay, that's a date. Well, right now, you assume your gray yellow period for training. And once again, what I mean by that is you're not there. They're getting it done. You've got some leadership. You're the quality assurance to check to make sure it's getting done via video, via phone call, via phone. Assume one speed day equals competition simulation. So if y'all play on Friday nights, you have these guys, if there's no curfew, you have them train on Friday nights for their speed day with that group of 4, wherever they're doing this once it's approved. Align the energy systems with the strength performance. That's very important. So if you're doing your explosive lifting, make sure it's communicated that you're doing your explosive running. Don't conflict between having, example, a strength endurance day where you're doing 3 sets of 12, and then you're running all your speed work. You're defeating building speed. Strength day, that's usually the one that usually kills people. They're not doing explosion, they're just doing strength, and they never do speed. The whole objective typically is to build explosion. So typically take your strength day and match it with your normal drills that you might be doing functional. Okay. So what do you want to do? This is where track language comes in. GPP, general performance, general prep performance, and you got special prep. Special prep would be your functional work. Okay, your functional work. You're working as a lineman, you're working as a receiver, and your general prep performance. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I recommend you do 6 weeks, but you're going to do this integrated. So it's more like a wave. You don't say, okay, they're in shape. They have a base. Now let's start working football. You do football things like Jerry Rice doing triangle drills, you do W drills, you do stair drills of, when I'm saying stair, you do down, out, and up drills, where you have squares for the cones, you have circle drills for the linemen. So they're building up their endurance, but they're building up functionally too. So transition phase, I ran into this when we're just training pros. You can't jam everything in 1 week. They gotta rest. They gotta heal. So if you're gonna do things, find your resource. That might be community, active rest, maybe yoga. It may be Pilates, where they start opening up these shops. They can get on the TV and do yoga on cable. That's your active rest day. So you're getting that lactic acid out of those muscles, but at the same time, you're loosening those hips up. Okay. And then you have your special prep days. That's where you might tell them to go run fast, 1.5 miles or less. Okay. Or, they could run 200s with 3-minute recovery in the street. And then have the one rest day, which is probably Sunday. And then those competition phase, you don't know. That's what we know right now. You don't know, and you don't know championship series. Okay. So once again, the key thing is understand force and energy systems. You've got your number one energy system, which most of them are familiar with, is that ATP-CP is what you call it. You guys will get all this. I'm saying you get all this information. That's why I put it in there. So the anaerobic ATP stuff, that's your sprinter stuff. That's your line stuff. That's your under 10 seconds. Okay. So that's your explosion. Then you've got your anaerobic lactic, that's basically above 10 seconds, okay, to about 2 minutes. All right, that's you playing during the game. So what you want to do is make sure your athletes can play 5 quarters. What I found is 300-yard shuttles are good for that, and doing the functional drills. And then you've got your aerobic energy system. That's you just kind of integrate that in, but not much. That would be, you would do that more on, this may be just something to give these guys something to do when they're stretching. So you got this table, which breaks that down for you. Don't need to go over that. You will have that. And then workout in flight. Okay. So this is examples, you know, your squad drills, you go ahead and assign them. Whatever your inventory is, you go ahead and set it up. If this is your speed day, you give that to them, you distribute it, you put it on Google Drive, you push it out on your emails, you push it out on your phone. So these are the tools of the trade that I recommend. Of course, you're gonna need your phone. Where, you know, Zoom or Meetup or Facebook, YouTube, Hangout, social media, parents, like Coach said the other day, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Team Snap for your fundraising. Here's the thing, the good about Team Snap is you get the money. GoFundMe doesn't, if you don't make the goal, you don't get the money. Team Snap, you will give you 70% of whatever you raise, like 72%, okay? So the social media Z's, as you know, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and TikTok. Use your Google Drive, Dropbox, have your quarterback equalizer. So important right now, get these guys learning. They have to learn right now. They have to learn any tool, you know, quarterback equalizers, get that. Train Heroic. This is one of the tools my partner uses. Train Heroic is great if you got a lot of kids that don't know what they're doing and you're worried about, are they doing it correctly? Train Heroic will have the video on how to bench. We'll have everything you need in addition to the workout. So you can load it in and they'll get it. For me, I typically don't do it. I send mine by cell because I usually have pretty advanced guys. They know what a bench looks like. They don't need to see it, you know. So now you use your Outlook calendar, and I'm talking with some guys, Vertio, shortly here, as far as that if you want to train one to many, that you can use that tool. I recommend you give your guys a mask, disinfectant wipes, and a mat so you can roll them out. Tell the parents to buy that stuff. Get them pull-up bars, discs, dumbbells, bands, and bench equalizers. The guy that I'm close with and use a lot of his drills for band work is Dave Smits. Dave's been doing this about 30 years. Okay, so he's got drills for PNF, all the cool down, active rest superset drills, and everything you need under the sun. You can get these guys doing the drills now, as you guys know, you know, out in the street, really doesn't matter. They could do these right out on the street, set it up, and work on drop. Okay, so, but for the most part, what I want to say is, you know, as I said, use that cell phone, and you got to use a different mindset moving forward. You know, embrace the change and try to have perfect practices. And you're going to have to really overuse the term trust the execution so that you get your army of squads that you assign to execute your vision and the drills that you've set up. That's it, guys. Any questions?
Man, that's pretty good, Coach. Very comprehensive, man.
Yes, very comprehensive.
Well, I figured I didn't really want to focus just on drills, skills, because everybody's got, I'm quite sure you guys got about 100 drills, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really not about the drills. It's about operations moving forward. I mean, why the school system is having trouble now, the infrastructure wasn't set up.
Right.
Have the ops set up right, you can't move fast. So what we're doing now, you know, all of us talking, that's part of it. And they build the infrastructure and don't worry about making mistakes. Just start with something and get the meetings going. And, you know, just keep the meetings short. You know, that's what a scrum meeting is, and, you know, and stick to it. Say, okay, we're done. We're off the phone. Okay. So thank you, guys. Feel free. I'll supply this to John, and you can do with it as you may. Like I said, you can add to it, or if you need more drills, I've got probably 250 drills. Thank you,
Yeah,
John.
definitely. You welcome. I was gonna say definitely send it, and I'll send it out. What I might do is just send it out to the guys on the list, because that we got a nice decent list of guys. So I'll do that today. Well, whenever you get it ready. Guys, got any questions? I kept the day light now. Had one speaker today. Coach Burns, we still waiting for you to do your extra point field goal return team. So
Yeah, Coach.
Hey, listen.
Let's talk about that, Coach.
Hey, listen. So I will say this, John, if you would allow me, and if the guys have time, I can actually go over a concept if you want me to. And it's universal. I've used it a lot, and let me tell you, I got some film. You guys are gonna be like, this is too easy. It's a passing concept, but there are actually 4 different reads built into it, and I've never had to go past the second read for my quarterback to understand it. And we scored a bunch of touchdowns on it. I mean, it's kind of a combination between a drive concept and a high-low, but it's meshed into one. It's a really inexpensive play, and you can literally run it I can run it. I know Coach Valdez probably wouldn't, but yeah.
So I tell you what, you got the whole weekend to get it together, and on Tuesday, I'm giving you a spot. All I need you to do is text me the title.
Okay, well, I call it Hawaii, but I mean, you guys can call it whatever. I try, when I put together concepts, I try to think of something that the kids, and it's a high-low read, so that's why I call it Hawaii.
Right.
Like Nash for me is Michigan, and stuff like that.
Just don't call Omaha.
I do some of the same thing you do. I give stuff like it's word association.
Right.
Because some guys
Like,
they remember stuff like that. Now I'm with you. So now look, you said it Tuesday. You on? I already got it. So you in, man. So that's how we'll do it. I wanted to say one thing real quick. So Coach Savage, man, he's been like a big brother to me, and I'm gonna tell you, man. When I lived in Texas, since I've been in Texas, when my father was getting sick over the last couple of years, Coach Savage would look out for me. He would go over there. He do those little wellness checks, and he was my first line of defense. If Coach Savage was out of town, I was calling the cops and do wellness checks because my father had dementia. And I got to give my man a shout out and say this. Before my father passed the same year, Coach Savage had videoed a time where my father was in rehab. And man, there's nothing like when you got a family member that was like your everything. My father raised me. I didn't have a mom growing up. My father was mom and dad. So he sent me the video the other day. Man, that just made my day because it was like, dang, that's my pops. And just to see him on video, it was like watching Sanford and Son. I ain't lying, because the dude is a trip, man. And I appreciate